welcome to the Paper Snob. This is Tara. Today I'm working on 52 favorite everyday photos. This is a hop that is hosted each week by Miranda Weber, and it's a great hop for us to get our everyday photos and stories told. I'm going to be using a mixture of some very old 49 and Market product. The background paper that you see here is irrevocable, which I had never even heard of until I saw some on clearance at my local store. I have a second sheet from that collection. It's really pretty. And then I pulled in some color swatch charcoal, and I'm going to use that for some of the embellishments here. This story that I'm telling is the story it's right before I changed my diet, which changed my pain levels, changed my inflammation levels, kind of changed my life, because it's when we discovered that I was allergic to so many different foods and was causing so much inflammation in my body that I could barely move without tramadol. I do have a spinal injury that I baby, and I've been babying it for years, but I had so much inflammation in my back that I couldn't function hardly. I had done a couple of steroid shots. The first one worked, the second one made it worse. Refused to take another one. I was willing to try anything when I did the Whole30 elimination diet in February of 2017. This photo was taken in January, just before all of that, and I can tell you that it made a difference in my life. I have a title piece from Color Cast Designs. This was in my November box that I received while I was away traveling. I've got some little tiny frames from Color Swatch Charcoal and the laser die cuts here. I think I may pull in some of the 49 and Market larger flowers as well, but I think I'm also going to stitch on this. So I'm going to pause and I'll be right back. This will be stitched in full when you see it next. All right, I got the stitching done, and all I did was stitch a straight line in the inner side of that frame to kind of help make that frame pop. Now I'm going to take this piece of the irrevocable pattern paper. I cut out that side piece, and I did it that way because I was afraid that I would goof and cut through that floral bit, and that floral bit is going to be fussy cut to go onto this layout. Next step is I'm going to cut a couple of mats out of the remaining of this paper. I do a 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 for the purple side. Then I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do 4 1/2 by 6 1/2 with this part. And this back side is kind of why I brought in the charcoal laser cuts and things, because I wanted to help bring out that cardstock or that pattern paper. And it also helps draw your eye in towards my photo and my little story. My story will be written on a very small tag that will come in a little bit. But first off, I'm going to fussy cut very loosely this floral piece here that was at the bottom or side of the second sheet of irrevocable. Now it's got a lot of fiddly pieces, and those fiddly pieces I will actually leave that lavender border around it, because I don't want them to break when I try to cut them. And I'll also cut out both butterflies, or that butterfly that you see there. That butterfly will get used. There was a second butterfly on this pattern paper, and I think I use a laser die cut rather than that second one. But first off, I'm just trying to get around this floral piece. I think that this will make a great tucking piece, and you could have just cut it straight with your trimmer, not with my scissors. I don't cut straight with my scissors. That is not something that I can do easily. But if I'd used a trimmer, I could have just tucked the piece of paper behind the photo without fussy cutting. But I liked the idea of the fussy cutting because it adds a little bit of texture and dimension, although it doesn't really add much dimension per se. I'm not going to put foam adhesive behind this or anything either. I'm just going to fussy cut it out and use it as a tucking piece on the side of my photo. So I've already mentioned part of the story that I'm telling. Again, this photo was taken in January 2017, just before I started my Whole30 diet. And a Whole30 diet is an elimination diet. There's a book and several cookbooks out that you can purchase and find more information. Also, when I was doing the diet, all of the information from the book was free on their website. I'm not sure that that's the case anymore. I'm going to say probably so. There's also Facebook community groups out there that you can join if that's something that you're interested in trying to make yourself better by eliminating some of the foods that are known to cause inflammation in our bodies. And those foods are sugar, alcohol, dairy, grains, and I always leave one out. There's another one. And so I eliminated all of those out because I was wanting to see if any of those things were causing my inflammation. It turns out several of them were. The other one is soy, like legumes. And my food allergies, I am allergic to soy, including soybean oil. The FDA is not required to tell you on food labels that there is soybean oil in foods. So I have to read all of the labels. Soybean oil isn't listed as an allergy because most people are allergic to the protein. I'm allergic to dairy protein. I usually just say dairy because you start talking about dairy protein and it confuses people. I'm not lactose intolerant. It's not the sugar in the dairy, it's the protein in the dairy that bothers me. So I can have butter. Butter doesn't seem to affect me at all. And so I do still use butter and or ghee in my cooking and food at home. And when we're out, if it's available, I'm allergic to gluten. And no, I don't know that I'm celiac. I've never tested, and in order to test for that, you actually have to be eating it for a couple of weeks, and I'm not willing to add something back into my diet that makes my stomach hurt, causes bathroom issues, and causes a vast amount of pain. When I finished my Whole30, I did actually go ahead and add all of those ingredients back into my diet slowly, and that's how I discovered that I was actually allergic to the foods. So I've got those little bitty frames, and I'm just kind of using those as an embellishment cluster holder. This is going to be more or less one large embellishment on that left side, and I'm grabbing leafy bits, trying to tuck them in. There's a little tag that I'm going to use for journaling. It's also going to be an anchor for my title and photo because it's going to go right underneath. I've got that lace bit there that I popped out, and that's going to go on that right hand side. I'm going to go ahead and add that title back. I love that the color of that title goes perfectly with this paper, like it was made for it. I have these little banner pieces, and I'm going to pull 3 of them, and those are going to go on those frames as well. I find that it's best for me to try to use as many wordy bits as I possibly can when I'm creating with a product that has quite a few wordy bits. And the reason for that is because I tend to hold off and then I have only wordy bits left, and that just doesn't work. So I'm kind of digging through that laser die cut set. And I said I was going to bring in 49 and Market flowers. The ones that I have were not the right color. These, I believe, are Petaloo. They were a peachy cheap purchase. And as you can see, they go very well with this layout, and that kind of makes me super happy. At first, I was only going to use some on the left, but I went ahead and decided just to use the whole pack. I'm going to bring those laser die cuts in again and find there's the butterfly that I'm going to add. And now I'm going to fussy cut out that second butterfly from the pattern paper. I think I did a pretty good job using both sheets of paper. I have a little bit of scraps left. Those I set off to the side. I will put them back into, I think I kept this collection in with Color Swatch Lavender. And so I think I put the scraps back inside there so that they could be used with that paper. I don't have any embellishments for that particular collection. I just have paper. So I kind of have to just, you know, mix and match what I already do have. And I went ahead and took that one floral die cut there and I cut it down so that I could spread the wealth, so to speak, so that there would be enough embellishments in all of my clusters. I decided I needed another leafy bit over here on the right hand side, and I believe I grab a bow from the laser die cuts. I also find that if I don't use those right away, they end up last and not getting used. All right, I got this layout completely finished off camera. I did glue everything down. I added foam adhesive behind the 2 butterflies, behind my 3 word phrases. I also added white spray from using my Delusions white linen ink spray. That is absolutely my favorite white. I haven't tried many of the others. I have Mr. Huey's white, but it doesn't show up as well as this one does, so I tend to not use it as much as maybe I should. If you have any comments or questions about this layout or anything that I used or did on this layout, please drop those below. I am really happy to have you here at my channel, and I appreciate you spending time with me today. I know that you are just as busy as the rest of us, and I appreciate you being here. I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day and have a great Thanksgiving week. Bye.